Welcome back to Time Bomb. This is part 3, module 4. We are going to review the entire worksheet. So we're going to start off with part 2, module 1, work our whole way through to part 4, which we haven't even covered yet, but I will give a brief overview in this video for you to think about when you get into part 4. So starting off, the work that we were talking about in module 1. Right now, this is just a slow build up to actually calculating your hours for, or what your hourly rate should be. So in this yellow column, or this yellow cell right here, we're going to list what we think our idle rate is. And again, that idle rate is what you're doing outside of work. So this is hanging out with the family, going to the gym, volunteering. It could be anything like that. So you can just pick any number in there. And again, there's no right or wrong answer. We're just starting off with what you think your idle rate should be. So pick something that you think seems reasonable for, what you would essentially pay yourself for work, like doing laundry or mowing the lawn, or what you would pay to spend time with your family, et cetera, et cetera. So we're just going to enter in a number there. Again, it should be reasonable, and we have columns here to talk about, why you would justify that as your answer. So in these columns here, just go ahead and just list the reasons. This is for you internally. This has nothing to do with what's going to happen later. This is just you coming up with the reasons why you think that what your idle rate should be is what it is. Next, we're going to jump to the running rate, and the running rate in this yellow cell right here is going to be what you think your hourly rate at work should be. So again, just take a couple things into consideration: what you are making annually or what you want to make, anything like that. And again, this is just kind of like a guess. This is a ballpark. You can just put any number in here that seems reasonable in terms of this is what I think that I'm making per week. And again, we have our list of reasons to justify. So go ahead and fill that out just to give yourself something to think about as you're determining what your running rate is. And this is going to build upon the rest of what we're doing. So it's kind of important to just make sure that you're creating something that's reasonable, not just picking a number out of the blue. And then we're going to put in your estimated hours per week here. Again, this is work hours estimate. It could be some weeks you're putting in 50, some weeks you're putting in 80. It could be anything in between. So just pick something that seems reasonable for the number of hours that you're working per week. We're going to fill that in there. And for this tab, that's all you have to do. So fill out cell B10, B23, B25. So your idle rate, your running rate, and your estimated hours per week. And then just put some reasons to justify why you think why those rates should be what they are. We're going to jump into part 2, module 2 work now. This is going to be a little more math related here, but again, this shouldn't be this isn't going to be too hard because we're going to walk you through everything right here. First, we're going to start off with your value estimation, and this is going to be the value add versus non-value add work that you do within your business. So what we want to do is list 5 of each value or non-value add tasks that you do throughout the day. And this could be literally anything. It could be sales, it could be marketing, it could be admin, it could be HR, it could be cleaning the bathrooms. Whatever it is, just think of 5 in each category, and we're going to just fill in a couple right here just so that we have something to show. And then in this column, you can either type or you can pick from the drop down, but either way, you're going to have to pick either value add or non-value add. So just to make things easy for us, we're going to say the first 5 are value add and the second 5 are non-value add. Well, let's switch it up just so you can see that it doesn't really matter. And so we'll have 5 value add and 5 non-value add here. Now, for each of these tasks, you want to put in the total number of hours of week that you do on each of them. And again, this is an estimation. It could be an average. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're just going to start thinking of how many hours you think you spend per week doing each of these tasks. And Be honest with yourself. You can put in increments. You can put in whatever you want. It's totally up to you in terms of that. Just they need to be numbers because it does the calculations for you. And we'll just fill in some numbers here. And then this is going to be a little more subjective, but we're just going to pick what you think you should be getting paid for what you're doing here, or you can kind of think, especially on the non-value add things, kind of what you might pay somebody to do that, but what the rate per hour is. So again, I'm just going to make up some rates here because this is just for your purposes to see how this works. So I'm just going to put in some numbers here of some different rates that we can estimate what our value and non-value added rates are. So we're going to put in these couple of different rates here, random numbers. Again, doesn't really matter what I'm doing. You should definitely fill in something that's reasonable based upon whatever it is that you're doing. So you're going to get the estimate on what your value rate is. And again, you do need to fill out all 10 of these in order for these numbers to be correct. So you're going to get an estimate on what your value rate is. You're going to get an estimate on what your non-value rate is, and then a weighted average based upon the non-value versus value added rates here. Now, these numbers don't look right. Obviously, you should be getting paid more for your value rate versus your non-value rate, but that's just because I made up numbers as I went. But if they are off and you've done this correctly and honestly, then you might want to go back and just look at what you're doing in your business and versus what you should be doing. Salary estimation here. So we're going to put in the salary type we have already. So we're going to talk about your actual, your desired salary, and what you need to survive. So your actual salary is going to be what you made this year, or what, let's say if you're a new business or you haven't opened yet, what you want to make. So we're just going to pick a number of what you actually made last year. The desired hours, or your actual hours for your actual salary, of about what you work each week, and then how many weeks of work you put in each year. So for each of these, we're going to do that. Desired salary, I want to make $250,000. That's 2.5 million, which would be nice. Desired hours, I only want to work 50 hours a week, and I also want to work 50 weeks out of the year. And then necessary, this is what I need to survive. So let's say I only need 75,000 to survive. But in order to do that, I'm probably going to have to work 60 hours a week, and I am going to get 0 vacation. So all of that factored in there, that's going to give you your actual salary, or your actual hourly, your desired hourly, your necessary hourly, and then the weighted average based upon the calculation in there. And then we're going to jump into research rates. So we have 5 options here, and this is going to be your competitor, cost estimation. This could be literally anything that is something that you've researched from your industry. So we're going to say based upon information that you know about competitors, something from the industry, and then some sort of estimation are the 5 ways that we've calculated what the rate is, and then this estimated rate. Go back and watch the video module 2 if you have a question about what this estimated rate is, but essentially it's what you should be getting paid by the hour. If you're in a service industry, that should be pretty easy because that charging by the hours is how you do your business. In product-based businesses, whatever, you're going to have to kind of go back into that a little bit and do some math there. So if you have any questions, just go back to that module. So we're looking at just a couple of numbers here we're going to fill in, and we're going to get our average researched rate. So then what's going to show up down here in the bottom in our recap, this is going to pull in all of the information that you've calculated so far, all the various rates. This comes from the module 1. This is everything that you did here in module 2. And this is going to give you an estimated hourly rate, which is kind of an average of some of the major buckets from above. And then from there, what you're going to put in this yellow cell right here is you're going to put what your actual hourly rate is. And this is an estimation based upon all the information that you've gathered to this point. So that means that your estimated running rate's 100, your weighted value rate is 116, but your necessary rate's only 24. Kind of taking that all into consideration, and you want to say, okay, your running rate is, we're going to say $110 an hour. Fill that in. You're done with the second tab. Now, we're going to jump into part 2, module 3. This is going to start talking about things that you are doing outside of work, both want to do and have to do outside of work. So your obligations versus what you obviously want to do. And I'm just going to fill this in without taking time trying to get creative here. So we're going to say each of these, you need to fill out all 3 of these. So outsource 2, outsource 3, without 1, without 2, and without 3. And then just pick, so your have to do's, again, this could be something, it probably would have been easier if I used something in there, but we'll say your have to do's are things like laundry or picking up your kids from soccer practice, whatever it is. How many hours a week you spend doing each of those, and you can just estimate, again, what it on average, how many hours per week you do on each of these, and what we're going to do for all 3 of these categories. So things that you can outsource. So let's say cleaning your house is something you spend 1.5 hours on every month or every week. That you can put that in there, but you can outsource that. You can hire a cleaning person to come into your house. You can outsource your grocery shopping or mowing your lawn or whatever it is. And then there's other things like and then we get into the things that you can live without. So this is stuff that you have to do, that like you're kind of obligated to do, but you don't have to do. So for instance, volunteering, you can live without that. Working in your garden, you could just close up the garden for the season, and you don't have to worry about that. Things like that are you have these obligations that you may not. Well, I guess working the garden would be kind of a want, but maybe it's a need. Who knows? Maybe you need to eat. But fill those 3 things in, and then just think about what the cost is to you. So again, if let's say this is laundry, in fact, and hours per week is 1, cost to you, I would pay somebody $50 a week to do my laundry. You can make that up. It's whatever you think that is. Picking up the kids from school, it takes you 2 hours a week. The cost you, I would pay kid Uber to pick up my kids $75 a week. Whatever the other thing is, I'm going to pay somebody $25 a week to do that other thing for 4 hours. Great deal, by the way. And then the things that you can outsource. So again, this is stuff like cleaning your house, mowing the lawn, walking your dog, whatever it is. And then again, put in what you would pay for somebody to do that. And then same deal with here with the can live without. So we're just going to fill in some numbers. And for our purposes here, the fake numbers work. And then we are going to talk about the want to do. So these are the things that you want to do outside of the work that take up your time. So this could be, happy hour with friends. This could be going to the gym. Things like playing catch with your kid. More time reading. Or, whatever it is. 1-5. We're just going to call that. And again, these are the hours per week that you would like to do this. So we're going to do 2 hours of happy hour a week. We want 6 hours at the gym every week. We want to play catch for 2 hours. We want to read more, at least 30 minutes a day. So let's just call that 6 hours a week. And then this one is 3. And then cost to you. So this could be the cost to do it or what you would pay in order to do it. Kind of like the thinking that we're doing up at the top there. So again, this happy hour, I would pay $40 for a couple of drinks for 2 hours with some friends. Going to the gym, my gym membership is $100 a month. Let's break that out 4 weeks a month, $25. playing catch is priceless, but as I said in module 3, there is a price to that. But let's say, you know, that's worth $100 an hour to you. More reading time, a little less, and then whatever 5 is, we'll make up a number there. So you've completed module 1, 2, and 3 for part 2, and you've got all of these numbers filled into each tab. This is then going to feed into part 3. So as you can see, everything that you calculated, it just comes over here, and it's the exact same thing that was in module 2. It just shows up over here. So you can take a look at that, and you can understand what everything kind of costs to you when you are filling in some of these things. So this first thing, this part 3, it's going to be your business or your work audit. And so this is what Julia's talked about when it came to your time audit. So we've already brought over everything that you filled out so far in your brainstorm, so you're not doing extra work here. And you've already it already shows the duration, so that's the number of hours. The frequency is always going to be weekly because that's what we did prior to that. So you're going to have task 1, 5 hours per week, and we said it's $150 an hour. Priority and delegation are the two that you need to fill out. So the priority, we're going to say, is this one's an A, this one's a B, this one's a C, etc., using these definitions up here. And these are the definitions that Julie explained. And so the priority here, we're going to say is we could delegate this one, we could eliminate this one. And I'm just going to go ahead and pick a lot of delegate and outsource so that you can see how that works a little bit later. But from the drop down, you can pick each of these. We want to know whether or not we want to delegate. So yes, no, yes, no. Again, this is more internal just for you so that you can kind of get a good idea before we get on to part 4, which I'll explain when we get there. So these first 10 tasks came over from here in part 2, and that is pre-populated for you. All you need to do is fill in these columns right there. Now, for everything else in your time audit, you want to fill in yourself, and you can put in any order here. It doesn't matter. The duration can be whatever you want because it just needs to be based on the frequency. So let's say taxes is a task that you have to do, and it takes you 4 hours, and you can put in quarterly because you only need to do it every quarter. Cost to you, pick a number. Priority, we're going to say that's important, you have to do that. And delegate, no, you don't want to. But then let's say holiday party, the duration is 3 hours, the frequency is annually. Cost, let's just call that $1,000 for that. Priority for you, it's nice but not necessary. So if times are tough, you can always cut that holiday party out. Everybody will love you for it. And let's just pick another random one just to show you that it doesn't really matter what you're putting in terms of frequency or duration from the standpoint of this worksheet. I mean, it matters because you should know it, but from the standpoint, it's not going to mess up any kind of formulas. So let's say meeting with the landlord, for whatever reason, you have to meet with them twice a month. So 1 hour, and we'll call that twice a month. The cost, it's costing you $100 because you aren't making money there, and in theory you could eliminate this because you hate meeting with your landlord, especially twice a month. Personal, I'm not going to spend any time on this, but the concept is the same. So the 9 things that you filled out, or 14 things, excuse me, that you filled out from this from module 3, so these 9 and these 5 have already transferred over onto this personal tab. You have your duration, your frequency, your cost price. You can put your priority and whether or not you can delegate some of that. Again, this column is the delegate column is just for internal uses. So that's that. You have an idea of where you're spending your time, how often you do it, what the cost is, the priority, etc. Now that you know that, we have on, for instance, this tab that we have these delegated. These D's are delegated, these are outsourced. This is going to come over into part 4, and Julie's going to spend some time explaining how this sheet works, but we know already that your A, B, C columns are the things that you need to do in your business or not necessarily need to do, but these are things that you can't really delegate or outsource or eliminate. So it's something that kind of has to happen. The delegate and outsource still need to happen, but somebody else can do that. And then with this column, once you fill in these yes nos, the nice thing is you can you can sort all of these, and you're not going to screw anything up. So we'll sort A to Z on this one so that we know that these are the super important tasks that I need to do. And even though that this is a priority, most important, I could potentially delegate this, but this is just a judgment call you're going to have to make. It's not going to automatically happen within this worksheet. So same thing goes for part 3. I'm not going to spend any time fake filling this out because the principle is the same in terms of the functionality of the worksheet. So now that you have this done, we're going to go over to part 4. So we have this again split up into business and personal. We have the task name, the personal time audit, or the description of each over here so that you know what each column is. And everything that you have listed over here that needs to be either outsourced or delegated, so a D or an O, is going to show up over here. And it's going to say D or O for delegate or outsource. We're going to bring over the cost that you put in there. So that's it's coming over from this sheet already. And what you can do is sort this A to Z, and it's going to, and we'll get rid of the blanks. So sort it A to Z, get rid of the blanks, and it's going to give you your tasks that you have delegated or outsourced and your cost. And then what you're going to do is you're going to fill out each of these columns according to Julie's instructions. So if it's critical or not, are you the only person who knows how to do this? If the will of business fail, this task is never done again. Those 3 are all yes/no questions, so just put in that there. And if you're choosing to delegate or outsource this, go ahead and fill out what you're going to do in terms of delegating. So this admin thing I can delegate, and it's at $25. It's pretty inexpensive, so I'm going to delegate. I'm going to hire a virtual admin and begin training office manager to lead, the tasks, whatever it is. And what we will do is this should be, and it will be when you get this, but we're going to wrap this text so that you can see everything that you put in there and outsource the information. So let's see. So this wasn't, I guess, 100% true because this is both outsourcing and delegating. So the point of having both of these columns here is that the delegate, this is actually would be more proper to be in this column here. So delegate would be give all tasks to the office manager, whoever that might be. Outsource information is going to be, you're going to hire the virtual admin, but the additional information for that is you need to begin training the office manager to lead that person because you want to be hands-off. You're kind of outsourcing and delegating this particular task, but you want to create that plan in there. And then again, this cost is the amount to you. You need to consider that when you are outsourcing, you're obviously paying somebody to do something. And this is the most critical part about this is if, let's say you have something that costs you an hour a week at, you estimate $25 an hour, you can outsource that. Just make sure that what you're doing with that hour either pays for that, so you're making at least more than $25 an hour for that hour of work, or it's something that you're just willing to pay. You don't want to start paying people to do work and then find yourself short on your budget because you're paying everybody to do work that you should be doing or could be doing. But it's 100% fine if you want to pay somebody to do some admin work for you so you can have more time at home or more time to spend on yourself, whatever that is. But you just have to be okay with the idea that that cost is now out the window. You're not making money off of that. And then when it comes to delegation, the important thing to consider is if you give this task, so let's say this first task to your admin, and they are now spending 1 hour a week doing, or this admin work to your office manager, and they're spending 1 hour a week, that's 1 hour less that they're doing their other responsibilities. Now, 1 hour a week isn't that much, and you could probably easily find that in their schedule for them. But if it's a more taxing task, that might mean that they are now going to either need to get paid more, and that's if they're hourly, they're going to work more hours. If they're salary, you might need to bump up their salary. Or if they're not able to do other work, you might have to delegate that. But that's another thing that you could do is if this costs $25 an hour, you can offset or delegate that to your office manager. But if they're doing something that's, let's say, $12 an hour, you can outsource that. So you're essentially kind of making it up there. So you're not losing on that other task that the office manager isn't doing. They're doing something that takes something off your plate, and then you take something off their plate and pay it to somebody else. So that's it. And again, the personal is going to be the exact same. It's just going to come from this part 3 personal tab. And if you have any questions, we do have the instruction sheet that goes along with this. And you can always reach out to us, info@sbpace.com, if you need any help.